let's move into our third and final main topic today. And our third and final main topic today gets submitted to us by Parker Sheldon, who writes, "Hey, John. About a week ago, the New York Times published an interview with the head of DC Films, that's Walter Hamada. Hamada said that Warner Brothers will have 2 Batman sagas with different actors running concurrently. The author of the interview was recently asked for clarification about the other Batman that Hamada was referencing. The author said that Hamada was talking about none other than Michael Keaton himself. No, he didn't, but we'll get into that in a second. Do you think they're actually going to bring Keaton back in a larger capacity? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks." All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And look, this all started yesterday. Let me take you back, guys, to yesterday on the John Campea show. So I'm doing the John Campea show yesterday. And what happens, it happens once in a while that a piece of breaking news comes out during the show, right? And so it was during the live Q&A part of the show. And I see in the live chat board that people start saying, "John, it's now official. Michael Keaton is replacing Ben Affleck. Michael Keaton is going to be that. They're going to build the Batman around that." And I saw a bunch of people writing that in. So what I did was, while we were doing the show, I opened up a browser window on my other monitor and I started looking it up. And I found where all this was coming from. And I remember, and I looked at it and I thought, that doesn't look right. So I'm not going to bring it up right now. And I didn't. I'm not going to bring it up right now. So I didn't during the show. And as it turns out, it's a good thing I didn't bring him up. So here's the thing. You guys remember that a little while back, Walter Hamada did this big piece in the New York Times and talking about, and one of the big things to come out of it was, yeah, our audience is sophisticated enough that we can run with 2 concurrent Batman franchises and all that kind of stuff, and we can do all this. Somebody's going to replace Ben Affleck, they said in the article, but our audience is sophisticated enough we can do 2 Batman at the same time. I'm a little bit dubious about that, but, you know, hey, it could happen and it could work. So why did everybody on the internet start running around saying Michael Keaton is the new Batman? Michael Keaton is the guy that's going to be doing this. Well, here's what happened. And it doesn't help that you had, you know, outlets like Screen Rant running the headline, Michael Keaton, not Ben Affleck, is the DCU's main Batman going forward. So you think, if you're going to have a headline like this, and again, I'm not trying to pick on Screen Rant. A lot of outlets did it, okay? It's not just Screen Rant. So I'm not trying to pick on Screen Rant. But if you're going to run with a headline that says Michael Keaton, not Ben Affleck, is the DCEU's main Batman going forward, well, you must have some pretty compelling evidence, right? Well, here's where all of this came from. So I went and looked at this tweet while we were doing the show yesterday to decide if I should bring it up on air that Michael Keaton is the new Batman replacing Ben Affleck as the DCEU's main Batman. And it came from this. A random dude asked, Brooks Barnes, by the way, is the guy who conducted the interview. And Gabriel Cielo sends in a super chat badge in the live chat, man. Thank you so much for supporting us that way, Gabriel. Appreciate that, man. Brooks Barnes is the author, the writer for the New York Times who did that interview. Okay. So somebody was a little unclear about something that was in the thing. So they wrote to the author to ask the question. I think this is great. What Nestor Cine does. Anyway, writes, "Hi, Brooks, based on your Hamada piece, some have interpreted that Warner Brothers is doing 2 franchises starring Ben Affleck, one with Pattinson, one with a new actor. Is that correct? Or were you referring to Keaton as a second Batman being part of a non-Batman centric saga? Thank you." All right. Fair question. Here's the response. One word. Keaton. Keaton. That was it. Just Keaton. That was the whole answer to the question. Keaton. And I remember we were doing the show live, and it's hard for me to be doing the show live, like answering questions and trying to look at other things while I'm answering a different question. It is really trying to walk and chew bubblegum and do taxes at the same time. But I remember looking at that and I thought, that one word answer, Keaton, when you look at the question, and Insomniac sends in a super chat badge. Thank you, Insomniac. Appreciate that. When you look at the question, and again, let's take a look at the question. The way the question is worded, even the question itself is a little confusing. Doing 2 franchises starring Ben, one with Pattinson, one with new actor. Is that correct? Or were you referring to Keaton as a second Batman being part of it? So Brooks just said, Keaton, I'm generally talking about Keaton. And I remember looking at that and I remember thinking to myself, well, that could mean anything. I mean, really, that could mean anything. I don't look at that and think this is certainly not enough. A one-word Twitter reply answer to that kind of a question is certainly not enough justification to run with a headline. And again, I'm not trying to pick on Screen Rant. A lot of places did that. To run with the headline, Michael Keaton is DCU's next Batman going forward. It's like, wait a minute. Based on a newspaper writer's one-word answer to a random guy on the internet's question about something, and we're running with that? And I just remember thinking, that doesn't feel right. So I decided not to bring it up. On the show. And it turns out it's a good thing that I didn't, because that writer, that author, Brooke Barnes, then got on Twitter to clarify what he was talking about, with the whole internet running wild saying Michael Keaton is the new main DCEU Batman moving forward, based on a one-word answer. Barnes got back on the internet, got back on Twitter, and he wrote this. I've been offline, moving apartments, and I returned to see this Michael Keaton craziness. I was referring to the one film that Keaton has been announced as being in, not a set of his own Batman films. If I had info on him beyond The Flash, I would have obviously put that in my article. And that was one of the things that really made me look at it and go, huh? Like if they were reporting that Michael Keaton was going to star in a new series of Batman films himself, that's not something you hide in a one-word answer somewhere in the 8th paragraph of a larger article. That is a headline leading story. And so Brooks says himself, again specifically, I was referring to the one film, talking about Flashpoint, that Keaton has been announced as being in, not a set of his own Batman films, because, as common sense would say, if I had info on him beyond the Flash movie, you bet your ass I would have obviously put that in my article. But he did not. He did not. So look, it's completely understandable to me why a lot of people started writing in on my show yesterday during the live questions part saying, Keaton's the new Batman. Keaton's the new. It's totally understandable because people were seeing headlines like this. They're seeing those headlines. But again, while we were doing so, I just looked at it. It's like he just gave a one-word answer to a little bit of a convoluted question. I don't know if we can pull that meaning out of it. And as it turns out, now we know what the meaning of it was. He wasn't talking about that. So if you are out and running around online today and you see people saying, did you hear Michael Keaton is the next Batman? They're going to be doing a Batman series based on Michael Keaton, who, by the way, just to be clear, I would not be opposed to. I'm not saying I'd be completely against. I mean, he is approaching 70 years old and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not saying I'd be opposed to the idea of Michael Keaton suiting up to have a couple of Batman films based on him. I'm not saying I'd be against that. Don't get me wrong. Don't misinterpret me. But the next time you're out around today, probably on the interwebs, if the word hasn't gotten out fast enough yet, and you see people talking about how Michael Keaton's going to have his own Batman movies, now you can point out, no, he's not. And you guys can point them specifically, again, to that author's tweet. His name's Brooks Barnes. That's at Brooks Barnes, New York Times, NYT. You can go there and point people saying, nope. The dude who wrote it clarified it afterwards. That's not the case. That's not what's happening. And there you go. It is important that we all have the right information. All right, guys, question is, what do you think about that? First of all, would you have been excited about Michael Keaton getting his own line of Batman movies? I'm not going to lie. The idea is intriguing. Did you know right away that wasn't the case? Whatever it is, what do you guys think about this? Jump into the comments section below and let me know your thoughts. Okay, guys.